Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah. I had to do a voiceover for the introduction because the microphone on my camera decided to stop working, and it worked fine on all the other clips from the rest of the video, but just not the introduction, so sorry about that. You'll see part of this video is filmed in the daytime and some at nighttime. My camera batteries died. I had everything else laid out apart from checking the batteries in the camera. So the first part's in the daytime, the last part I came back after I'd done out and done some messages and did at night. So enjoy! So as you can see from the introduction, it is a neutral brown smoky eye with some glitter in the middle. I just took some primer. It's a number 7 primer for Pores Perfecting Primer. And I rubbed that on all the sort of centre areas of my face that would come up with more pores than other areas. Apologies, I've fake tanned as well, so my arms and hands will be a different colour. I've taken 2 different foundations. One is the Clinique Beyond Perfecting in shade 2, I think. It's a neutral based foundation. I find that this foundation, unless you use a ton of it, it doesn't blend particularly well, so I'll be mixing it with some of the Gosh Cosmetics, the long-lasting foundation that they do. It's a bit more liquidy and just helps the Clinique blend out a bit better. So I'm just blending that in with a flat top makeup brush to get it good. I like decent coverage foundation, so I'm getting that all over my face and managing to drop some on my arm as well, as you do. This foundation is probably a match for my skin tone when I haven't got tan on. I tend to wear tan most of the time, so what I do is I use a fairly neutral base foundation that's close to my skin tone because the tan doesn't really stick to my neck that well. I blend it down my neck a bit and then I use bronzer to warm my face back up. So I use a beauty blending sponge dampened with some water to get a nice even finish on the skin, to make sure that all the foundation, there's not too much foundation sitting in one place on the skin. So just blot that all over my face to press it into my skin. And now we're going to take some concealer. That's the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer. It's got that nice sponge applicator at the top. It makes applying it really, really easy. I'm just spot concealing as well as doing my under eye, down the centre of my nose, the chin, where you would normally highlight or where you feel you need extra coverage. Now taking the pointy end of my blending sponge and blending that in. This is my first video, so if you do have any pointers or any constructive, not negative, constructive feedback, please leave it down in the comments below. I'd be happy to hear any tips that you might have. For instance, I think because of the ring light, my skin and the colours are showing up a bit pale, but I think if I give it more of a backlight, if I let more light into the room behind me, that might fix that. So moving on to brows, I use the Eyelure brow pomade and a Gosh Cosmetics, I think it's a slanted eyeshadow brush, but it's narrow and firm enough that I do my eyebrows with it. It's just taking a small amount of the pomade. The trick with the pomade, like the Anastasia Dip Brow, is to use a little amount at a time and just work in small amounts. I was really, really clever and shaved off the tails of my brows because I decided I wanted to make them a different shape, and they were never that full anyway. So I've been waiting weeks for them to grow back, and I mean weeks. So I'm just taking a little bit at a time on my brush, and I'm starting underneath my brow to get the shape and to fill in the tail. And any excess there that's on your foundation you can rub off with your finger. That's the nice thing about the pomade. So then I'm putting some more product through the centre of my brows towards the tail. I try and keep the sort of the darkest parts of the product in the middle and towards the tail of the brow, and whatever's left on my brush I brush through the fronts of my brows just to give it that nice sort of gradient of colour. You don't want to leave well, maybe you do, but I don't like leaving my brows too harsh lines. And my left eye tends to water profusely, whether I have makeup on my face or not, so I just had to dab the wateriness away from my eye. It's an absolute killer for smoky eyes, which is unfortunate because I really love the sort of Jamie Genevieve style of smoking out the underneath of your eye, and you know, your eyes watering just ruins that. So I am taking a flat eyeshadow brush and my W7 Cosmetics Get Set Eye Primer, Eye Base. It is flesh toned. You can get white, but I think the flesh tone sort of looks a bit more natural. I'm just using the flat top eyeshadow brush to put that all over the top of my lid, and I think I blend a little bit underneath as well when I'm done. I'll tell you in a minute if I do, I can't remember. So all over the tops of my eyelids. You want to use a good amount of this stuff. You try and find the happy medium. I heard one of my other favourite YouTubers say that you'll know if you've used too much it'll crease, but it'll also crease if you don't use enough. So you have to find the happy medium. I blend it in with my fingers just to make sure it's even. Switching back to brows, I have this horrible collection brow gel, but it's the only brow gel I have at the moment, and just using it to brush through my brows lightly to set them in place. Make sure all the hairs stay where you want them to stay. That's just a clear brow gel, but it's gone a horrible colour because it tends to pick up whatever product you have on your brows as well. It picks up a little bit of pigment. So I have an old bronzer pan that was empty. I put some talcum powder in it because I baked my under eyes with talcum powder. A nice small fluffy brush, and I pat a generous amount under my eyes. I sort of semi-bake under my eyes, middle of my forehead where I get greasy. I tend to have quite greasy skin. Down my nose, sides of my nose, and my chin. I find that banana powder tends to leave me very yellow under the eyes. It doesn't brighten my under eyes because I'm quite pale to start with. But I take the Ben Nye banana powder as my face powder, and I just sort of sweep it on with a larger fluffy brush. Wonder how tongue twisted you could get yourself if you just continued to say fluffy brush. Fluffy brush, fluffy brush, fluffy brush. Okay. Taking a small eyeshadow blending fluffy brush, taking some of that talc and putting it over the eye base just to set the eye base to make sure it doesn't crease while I'm doing something else. And then I am taking my... What am I doing? Sarah, what are you doing? Come on. Picking at my ears. Delightful. That looks like a flat top. It is a flat top. And my Revolution eyeshadow palette. I'll put all the product names down below. And I'm taking two of the lightest shades across the lid, the main part of my eyelid. I think I'm doing like a halo effect on my eyes. And I will apologise because in the next sort of 30 odd seconds my video is going to cut out because my camera died, but so just patting that on top as your lid colour. And I'm taking a nice round top fluffy brush. I had to make sure it wasn't the slanted one because I have two. This shade as my transition shade, and putting that into the crease as your transition colour. And you know, your usual windscreen wiper motions, little circular motions, and I'm just gradually using all those different colours to start blending up. Again, as I say, I'll list the colours down below in order of sort of light colours to dark, and I'm just building up sort of with lighter colours into darker colours and wiping my teary eye. I promise I'm not crying, I'm not unhappy, I'm not crying. So just continuing to blend those together, but sort of trying to keep the darker colours lower down. So I'm now taking a smaller blending brush. It's sort of like a pencil brush, but it's quite fluffy. And taking one of the darker shades that I was using there and just putting it more in the crease. This is just more focuses your colour more. Darker colour again, and I'm taking, I think that was the dark brown in the palette. I'm taking that about halfway across my crease, not all the way in, but taking it halfway across my crease with a pencil brush and sort of a little V down into the edge of my eye so I can blend that underneath my eye too. And to blend out the harsh lines. And my camera cut out. So we are on to the next portion of video. So, nice big smile there because I know I cocked up, and yeah, that's the face that I'm making when I know that I have to take my eye makeup off. I'll show you it nicely before I take it all off and do it all again. Just for you guys. Just for you, yep, that's the face. Right, So I just took a makeup wipe and I tried not to take any of my other makeup off, but you know yourself, it's not always easy to do, so I left my mascara on because that was going to be just far too much of a pain in the backside. Taking off the eyeshadow, trying not to rub your eyebrow off if you're like me and have fairly transparent eyebrows that are non-existent unless you draw them on. Wiping under the eye slightly as well because I did have shadow under the eye. So just taking all that off for you. I may do a get unready with me video for you guys if you would like to see how I take all my slap off at the end of the day. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. So just going back in with the concealer that I was using in the daytime portion of the video, I popped a little bit of that on the top of my eyes as well, just to use that as primer this time, instead of the W7 cosmetic stuff. So back in with a damp makeup sponge, blending that out. Deep breath, because we're having to do this all over again, right? Talcum powder again, flat top fluffy brush, I believe that was. Tap off the excess, set the concealer. I apologise that my face looks so pale next to my orange fake tanned hand in this. I have tried to colour correct this clip because I didn't have enough backlight to bring the colours out properly, but the program that I was using to edit the videos was just taking so long to do it because it's a big task I was asking it to do. So taking the light brown, not the light shades, but the light brown transition shade, and back into the crease with a sort of rounded top fluffy brush. And taking some of that underneath as well. It's not too dark a brown, so you can use it under your eyes without looking like a panda, in my opinion anyway. There's a nice sort of purpley transition colour. I'm using some of it as well, popping it into the crease. Now I'm taking the darker purpley colour and popping some of it on as well. Probably would look a little bit dark for daytime unless you were using a smaller, more focused brush, but it was nighttime. You can go a bit more dramatic at nighttime, you know, don't be shy. So taking the dark brown and the smaller pencil brush, and we're popping that mostly into the outer 2/3, but once you've sort of placed the product, you can then drag it across into the inside. I think I just went ham on this one, because I was just, yeah, this is the second time around doing it, so going back in with that darker purpley shade under the eye, more as a transition shade than anything else, just to balance out the brown so it's not just, you know, brown right on there. Blending it all out with a nice fluffy brush, you know, windshield wiper motions or little circles, whichever works best for you. Back in with the darker brown underneath the eyes. I am sort of powering through this because I've done it already today. And I took the, what did I go for? It was the Barry M Cosmetics, and it was the gold pigment. And I used some of the eyeshadow base from earlier on, almost to do a cut crease. I just needed to lighten up that lid portion of my eye and give the pigment something to stick to, so I used that as the base. Now, it didn't work out. I used a flat top brush to put that on, obviously, to pack it on, and I used the smaller of the two packing brushes I have. I just used what was in the lid because there's quite a lot there. So I popped that on and it went matte on me, and then I screwed up my face because it went matte and wasn't nice and glittery, and I was unhappy. But then I have a little Urban Decay separate shadow which was gold as well, and it was a lot shinier and I quite liked it. So I just threw it on over the top and packed it on like my life depended on it. I'll check in the mirror. Do we have a happy Sarah? I have this September Rose Cosmetics palette. It is a dupe for one of the Morphe Warm Browns palettes, but it has some brighter colours in it, but it just has some really lovely warm tone browns and terracotta colours and oranges in it, and I just love them. So I'm using one of the warmer browns in it to, oh no, it was a metallic dark brown I have in it, because I felt like the outer corners they were flat, they needed a bit of dimension, so I put a darker metallic brown on the outside edge, and then took my little pencil brush in to blend that out a bit, not too much. So I'm taking my Bare Minerals, it's like a felt tip liquid eyeliner. My hubby got me it for Christmas, he did good. It's lovely. I love felt tip eyeliners, but you find with the cheaper ones, you do kind of get what you pay for, and I am a miser. I do like cheaper products. The Clinique foundation was a Christmas present as well. I wouldn't normally spend that amount of money on myself, so I'm just giving myself a little wing, just a little baby one, because we have quite a smoked out eye there as well, although I do go back in and make them slightly bigger, because you know what happens with liquid liner, you put it on and one eye turns out perfectly, I mean perfectly, and then the other eye just kind of all goes a bit, you know, peaked on, as they would say. So you have to then make one thicker to even it up, or longer or something. So taking my big fluffy brush from earlier on and dusting off the talcum powder, just grimacing a bit at my horrific fake tan on the palms of my hand there. So we have a bit of Jeffree Star highlighter, and this is the, excuse me, and I apologise for swearing, but it's the name of it. It is So Fucking Gold, it's called. And putting it on the high points of my face, so cheekbones, nose, a little bit in the forehead, a little bit in the cupid's bow, and the chin. Not too much though, because my skin tends to run more towards greasy, so I tend not to try and put, I don't put too much highlighter in the middle of my face, because that's where I grease up anyway. So taking a nice metallic gold from the September Rose Cosmetics palette and highlighting the inner corners of my eyes with it, and using it as a brow bone highlight also. The light metallic colours in the September Rose palette are beautiful. One of them doesn't show up terribly well, it's a bit more subtle, and you know, when you're going to do highlight, you may as well go all in. My brows weren't dark enough, I didn't think, for this look and in that light, so I went back in with a Rimmel brow pencil. I think it's probably in the light brown or blonde colour, and I just darkened up the lower, sort of the underside of my brows and up through the fronts a wee bit. Not too much, a wee bit. I felt like I needed bolder brows to balance out that look. And I think I went all out for you guys and actually did put false lashes on for a change. Although I decided I'd been wearing my foundation all day at this point and I felt like I needed a little bit of a top up. Doing everything in the wrong order, but you know, that's what happens when your camera dies and you have to do the second half of a video that you didn't realise wasn't recording the first time you did it. So you went all through the rest of your makeup, went out for the day, and had to do the rest when you got home. So, flat top kabuki foundation brush, bit of the Gosh Cosmetics long wearing foundation, back in with a makeup sponge to blend it out a bit. I'm starting to look really white now compared to my hands, but I promise it looked okay in real life. Back in with the Ben Nye banana powder. And are we going to do a bit more bronzer? Yes, we are. And I think mine is a Rimmel or Collection bronzer. It's cheap, but it was a nice colour. It was more of a brown bronzer than an orange colour, so it works for me. You know, whatever floats your boat, but I am cheap as hell. So that works for me. So back in, under the cheekbones is a contour, around the top of my forehead to sort of make my skin match up a bit better. Going in with the Fat Lash Mink lashes, but these aren't the Minks, these are the Wispy range that they do. Fat Lash is actually a Belfast-based company, I am very proud to say. But I discovered them when I was in Scotland at the Girls' Day Out show. I went to see Jamie Genevieve live. She was amazing. She was absolutely hilarious, very down to earth. But I got 3 pairs of the Wispy lashes for a tenner, including glue. So I was quite impressed with the Fat Lash Wispy lashes. I'm so glad to say that they're a Belfast-based company, because very little of the sort of bigger makeup brands that you see are. So, gluing up the lashes, letting the glue get tacky. I'm not very good at waiting for that to happen, but I do try. So let the glue get tacky. What did I do in the meantime? Oh yeah, I had one waiting and it got tacky enough, so I popped it on. These didn't go on terribly well. Do you know, you have days, usually the days when you're in a rush, the false lashes go on beautifully and you've no idea why, and then the days where you have the time and can take your time, then it all goes wrong on you. So they went on, they stuck. I don't think they were particularly well put on in my opinion. Maybe I'm being a little bit hard on myself, but do you know, I went to the effort and put the false lashes on, so you know, you better appreciate it. Just kidding, you don't have to. I think I had to take 2 goes with this one from memory. Yeah, inner corner just would not go where it needed to go. The other one was fine, it was just one on the inner corner didn't want to stick. I think that was on my watery eye as well, so my eye waters, the eyelash glue doesn't stick, and just blech, stuffed. So I'm taking a soft coal type liner from Bare Minerals also. I got 3 in the pack that my husband got me. Thank you, Craig. So this is the kind of soft coal crayon type one, and I'm just doing the inner corners of my eyes just to blend them in a bit more with the corners of the false lashes because I couldn't get them to stick down. And I'm taking my Maybelline, I think it's called Fat Lash, may not be Fat Lash, it's the really volumizing mascara anyway, and I'm just using it to bulk out my lower lashes to match in with the false lashes, and to just comb a bit over my upper lashes to get them to blend a bit better with the false lashes. It did have a load of snapshots of the look as well, but they all went blurry, so unfortunately I don't have any to show you. Taking my liquid lipstick, it is in NYX Cosmetics or NYX Cosmetics. It is one of the Lip Lingerie liquid lipsticks. It's a matte finish, it dries down quite well, but it's not, I find the Jeffree Star one's quite drying. This one's not as drying. So I'm overlining ever so slightly. This shade was Corset. It dries down with a grey tone, but it is a lovely nude shade. I find with nude lipsticks in general, they tend to be too pink toned. I have very light skin naturally, and I think I need a neutral or yellow undertoned foundation, so when it comes to nude lipsticks I need a neutral undertone or a grey undertone or a yellow undertone as well. But that is the finished look. Thank you very much for watching my first ever video. I promise they will be a bit more cohesive in future. If you have any comments for improvements, or you have any questions about me or about any bits and pieces of makeup, please let me know in the comments below. I am not a makeup artist. I enjoy doing my own makeup. I loved watching all my favourite YouTubers on YouTube, which are Jamie Genevieve, Samantha Ravendar, Samantha, as she's called on Facebook and YouTube and everything, and Glam and Gore. I love Mikey. I think she is the best thing since sliced bread. She is pretty equal first with Jamie Genevieve, in my opinion. I have a few others as well, but those are my main ones that I like. And I started a blog as well. It's on WordPress. It's Twinkle Feathers. I'll leave the links down below as well. And I saw them, I'd watched them doing YouTube, and I thought, do you know what? I want to try that because I think I enjoy putting on my makeup, and I wanted to share it with everybody else too. So here I am, world. Here I am. I really hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like and subscribe and tell all your friends. Go on, please. And leave comments down below. And I will see you next time. Thanks, guys.